2, sweet! Hi, welcome to JV Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's the White Garfield.
What up?
We talk about the NFL each and every week. Round 2. This is the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Yep. Pretty big week. Last week was very interesting. We're actually going to rewind. We're going to talk about last week, and then we'll get into this week. So, to start off with...
There's a lot to talk about.
Well, but not the best weekend of playoff football because there was a blowout. There was a really, really cold game, which made it extremely interesting. Mm-hmm. And then there was two teams that, we'll talk about that. But we'll get into Pittsburgh and Cincinnati was chippy from the gate. We knew it was going to be. I said, what was my key word for it? Physical. You know what I mean? So we knew this was going to happen. They said there was refs down. Yeah, but they said there was refs down the 50-yard line. No, I knew. I knew they were going to be going back and forth, and I knew it was going to get like that. I say it every week. You can't blame the officials for things, but the one thing. This is the playoffs, and when there's a coach on the field instigating another player to, and yes, that player went over the top and tried to strike the coach, and then ran into an official. That's a 15-yard penalty. It should be a 15-yard penalty. Yeah, but the coach being on the field instigating a altercation of any sort should also be a 15 offsetting-yard penalty. It's a 50-yard field goal instead of a 30-yard field goal, and that's really the biggest difference. I'm not saying that he misses the 50-yard field goal by any stretch of the imagination, but they were inconsistent in kicking all season. So to be fair, again, you can't blame the officials because how many other plays were happening. And the one thing, before everyone gets on Montez Perfect for the hard hit on Antonio Brown, what about Shazier, though, a couple of plays before?
Are we talking about that helmet? The helmet that wasn't called?
Before we start calling one player dirty or this or that, it's the NFL. It's very hard. And they were playing physical, and they were playing for everything that's on the line. They're trying to get to the next round, and they're playing each other. And
But
as I said, you don't want to blame the officials because there's so many things that could have happened throughout that game. And I was impressed with A.J. McCarron's ability to come back. I know the Steelers don't have the best defense in the world, but Big Ben getting hurt, that's a big deal. We'll get into that as well. But
you just gave me a mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we begin on that? I don't even know where to begin on this. This whole situation is just a complete mess. All right, let's start with the chain of events. Let's go with that helmet to helmet. There was no call because I went on when that moment happened.
Shazier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that moment. Because right after that happened, I went online and I was going through social media and stuff, and people were defending this, saying, "Well, he was a defensive player."
It's a bang play. I'll give them that, but no, I agree. It should be helmet to helmet.
It does absolutely. It has nothing to do with being defenseless or.
I agree. That's the point of the rule.
If it's a helmet to helmet, it's an automatic penalty, and this is what we're talking about. This is where I blame the officials because they're so inconsistent.
Yes.
From game to game, week to week, year to year, it's absolutely horrible. It's disgusting. That should have been a flag. Number one. Number two, moving forward. Who was that Steelers player that was the assistant coach?
Joey Porter.
Joey Porter. Now we're getting into that situation with the Antonio Brown hit, which Burfict said, "Oh, Antonio Brown must have been faking." I'm sorry, I saw the replay and I saw the eyes. There was one replay in particular. They only showed it twice. But you can see, even though it was kind of from a far angle, you could see his eyes, and I saw the white. And the shit went back. He was out.
Yeah, I don't think Antonio Brown was faking by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But for people to think that he could hold up or to think that he purposely was hitting him in the head in super slow motion, of course it looks. In super slow motion, of course, it looks very violent. It looks like he was going for his head. That's not what he was. He was going to make a play.
No.
He shouldn't.
He was playing football.
He shouldn't have hit Antonio Brown probably in that situation. That ball was incomplete. But he hit him, and he hit him high. If he would have hit him a little low, I don't think the flag might still be there.
That's what kind of makes me sick about the NFL is that we say, "Oh, well, he hit him too high," but then when they go low, they say, "Well, he went for his knees, he went too low." So there's kind of this separation where defensive players, they don't know what to go with.
You have to use your shoulder. You can't use anything else, basically.
Right. So he was in a no-win situation. I don't by any means think it was a dirty hit whatsoever. But when...
Antonio Brown... He gets the flag. He should get the flag for helmet to helmet. He gets the flag.
Yes. Okay, so moving on.
You agree with that?
Yes. Now moving on. Now we're going on
so that's now they're kicking it from the 50-yard line. It would be 1st and 10 from the 50-yard line.
But then...
Joey Porter
walks out.
starts jawing.
That's an automatic flag.
But it wasn't called.
And that's the inconsistencies of the referees.
But then Pacman Jones comes across, and while Burfict and Porter are going back and forth, Pacman Jones comes and tips a ref. Not even intentional. Didn't even hit him all that hard, to be honest with you.
He bumped into him. It wasn't even a hit.
Still got the flag.
Where was the flag on Joey Porter? Just because I understand.
He instigated an altercation.
Okay, so everything that I've heard up until this point has been Joey Porter was out there because, the refs let it go because Antonio Brown, the situation called for him being out there. And I understand because it looked like my man was paralyzed. What it looked like. He
got rocked.
Right. He looked frozen out there.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough that Joey Porter comes out, but no, Joey Porter was nowhere
near. Come out
near.
and talk to your player. He was coming out and talking to the other team. And it's different defending your player. They were saying he was saying things all game. They were saying that he was saying things all game, and then he came. But then he came on the field and he was saying those things face to face.
And what is that? What is that? That's a flag.
It should have been.
And that's where I blame the referees because
earlier in the game,
that's the inconsistencies
as I said,
of the referees.
You can't blame the refs for everything because
Earlier in
the game, the refs gave Cincinnati a call that they shouldn't have gave them on 15-yard. No, but it happens. It happens throughout a game. I agree that was really bad, and this is decided a playoff game, and it made a 50-yard field goal into a 30-yard field goal, and it still should have been a 50-yard field goal.
This is what makes me sick about the NFL is because we're saying, okay, this
didn't
happen.
18 seconds left.
You're saying basically what you just said was, okay, this didn't happen, so now because this call wasn't made, now we're gonna make this call. No, be consistent.
I agree.
I understand you're gonna miss calls. It's bound to happen. Okay, it happens in all sports, and everybody understands that. Everybody accepts that. But the NFL as a whole, to me, compared to every other league, is the most inconsistent as in regards to officiating.
No, I think the MLB is the worst. Yes, but then the NFL would be second.
MLB maybe with strikes and balls, but outside of that,
if you're going worst at the top of the list, it would be MLB, then it would be NFL, then it would be NBA, then it would be NHL. FIFA would be number 2 over the NFL if you really threw them in there.
For me, it would be NFL, NBA, then baseball. But that's just me. But basically, at the end of the day, Pittsburgh should not have been in that situation to kick that type of field goal.
They won. Now, moving on to the day after. Marvin Lewis still has his job.
Is that a problem? Do I think are you asking me, is that a problem?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, I don't agree or disagree with him keeping his job. Because I look at it from this standpoint. My man has been with them for 7 years. He's however many years it is, but he's 0-7 in the playoffs.
Yeah. In a tough division.
Fair enough, but I mean, at what point do we just say
quarterback in 2 of those 7 games?
Okay.
Andy Dalton for 5 of the other 7.
This is the situation.
So you got 1 with Carson Palmer, a young Carson Palmer.
I'm ignoring all those years. Let's talk about this year. Let's talk about this year where you had all these players put you in a situation where you lost the game because, frankly, a lack of leadership.
He tried to talk to him, though. He tried to talk to both of them.
Well, did it work? Because
no, but if he talks to them multiple, here would be my thing.
Nobody listens to him. There's a lack of... Who is the leader of the Cincinnati Bengals? Go ahead, I'll wait because you can't name him.
I don't disagree.
It's not Marvin Lewis.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. My thing would be, I'm okay with him keeping Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis has to cut. Perfect.
He's not going to.
Well,
he's not going to cut any of those players.
That's a lack of discipline to me.
He has been getting these players for years. He's gotten the Burficts. He's gotten Pacman. He's gotten countless other players I can't even think of right now. But if you're going to get those type of hoodlums, frankly, on your team, then you got to show he's not a Bill Belichick or somebody with that type of a war or leadership.
If you're losing games and you're losing your 7th playoff game, you're 0-7 as a head coach in the playoffs, and your 7th one is because of players that you're bringing in like that. Sometimes somebody has to pay the piper, and if you're not going to make them pay the piper,
it's not Andy Dalton because he wasn't playing.
Then as a GM, then you got to get rid of Lewis. And I agree with you. It's not Andy Dalton, but
that's the sickening thing
about.
Does
he change it
this year? I don't know. It's hard to say. But here's the thing: we're not talking about Andy Dalton. We have not mentioned Andy Dalton other than the fact that we just said him just now is that he's been injured.
Played okay.
Right. We're talking about why they lost because of the hoodlums that they have on their team. And that's because of a lack of leadership, and he wasn't able to control them. The one play I saw
they made a decision
with Pittsburgh. Here's a counter argument with Pittsburgh when that one player ran into the assistant coach, and they said that he dragged the man with. Did you see it with his?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That
And
situation.
he got fined.
Right, and he got flagged for that.
Yeah.
What happened was, immediately after that, the flag was thrown, and the players were like, what the hell? I saw head coach Mike Tomlin doing this, backing the players up. And he said, and you can see, if you look at the replay, he said, get back. And everybody, what happened? They got back. Marvin Lewis doesn't have that type of control. He doesn't have that type of leadership. So...
Yeah, but on the flip side, to that argument, Joey Porter's out there running wild, starting arguments on the football field.
Right.
I mean, that's lack
He's
of
an
leadership.
assistant coach.
That's a lack of leadership. Yeah, that's a lack of leadership. From
If you're controlling 52 other players and you let one person...
Your coach needs to have more discipline than that.
Absolutely.
You have more trust in your coach.
Marvin Lewis doesn't have any control over anything.
I got you.
It's a weird situation because, I mean,
But
the counter argument is,
but you said,
where do you go? Where do you go? Because he's gotten you to all those playoff games. He hasn't won any, but he's gotten you there. Are you going to do any better getting somebody off the street? That's the argument.
maybe because to your point, you said that they didn't lose this game because Andy Dalton wasn't playing. They lost this game for other reasons.
Right.
Well, that's because they made a decision back when they drafted Andy Dalton in the second or third round or whenever they drafted him that they were never going to invest a lot of money in a quarterback. They were going to make this team really good around a quarterback, and so that they can insert somebody for that exact situation. So yes, maybe if you find a different coach that can do the same things but a little better, bring in the right guys, not these wrong guys, same talent, still spend the money in the right places. You have the right GM in place, obviously. Maybe it is Marvin Lewis. I'm not saying it is, because obviously there's some consistency to it, and for how tough that division is, sometimes I'm more afraid of, and this is why it's hard for me to be really critical of the Eagles, because sometimes I'm more afraid of not stepping away than holding on to something just because you're kind of hanging on with the Ravens and the Steelers right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was okay with the Eagles. Everybody disagreed. A lot of people think that the Eagles should have kept Andy Reid at the time, right? Because they felt like, well, look, he wins all the NFC East championships. You know, him and Coughlin.
Where's he at right now?
You got him, Coughlin, and Garrett. And I understand what you're saying, but I wasn't scared at that moment of the Eagles taking a step and trying something different outside the box, because sometimes that is the one thing you need. Look at the Patriots. Sometimes that's the one thing you need. No, it didn't work. Not the Eagles. Okay, horrible example because you hate that.
I
But
hate that comparison.
what's it?
Because that's the 1 in a million chance that actually worked. Because all the other times it hasn't worked.
Okay, look at Harbaugh though. Harbaugh worked in the NFL and he came straight out of college. But I'm saying, you take your 1 in a million shot and you take your, you know what I mean? You land your Dick Vermeils, you land your this guy, you land your that guy, the guy who ends up leading you to the Super Bowl, because you weren't afraid to take that chance to step away from the guy who's just keeping you with the other competition. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes striving to be better than those guys isn't a terrible thing. As I said, I'm not against them because there's way too much money on the line for me to be sitting here telling you, with me having $0 invested in the Cincinnati Bengals, that fire him. Go fire him because they're 0-7 and he has no discipline. No, I can't do that because he obviously there's something to what he's doing. They just won the division and they had a backup quarterback for 4 weeks and they only lost 4 games all season.
Okay.
I mean, that's impressive.
You know
and
what?
they barely lost to the Steelers with that backup quarterback.
You know what? I'll make the decision for you because they should. I'll make the decision real easy. Back to your original question, should they keep him or should they get rid of him? I think they should get rid of him. 1, because of the lack of leadership. 2, because their division wasn't that great. Up until the Steelers were playing good recently, within recent weeks, and they did their own thing.
Cincinnati was undefeated at one point. They were 10-0 at one point this season.
Okay, that's great.
And you want to fire him at the end of the year?
That's great. Okay, he's 0-7 in the playoffs.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm trying to be the other side of this argument.
Okay, so the other side of this argument is me saying, if this was Philadelphia, what would you be saying? Would you be saying the same thing?
I wanted them to keep Chip Kelly, and this was a more miserable year, so yes.
And he had far less leadership qualities than Marvin Lewis did, so hey, fair enough.
Moving on. Mike
there's no, you can't put leadership and Chip Kelly in the same sentence without college being somewhere in that sentence. I'm just saying.
Minnesota's head coach, Mike Zimmer, is a pretty good leader, and I actually never believed in him. They have the division championship.
Yeah, how'd that work? Yeah, it was ugly. You want to go ahead, keep on before I get on it.
Adrian Peterson. They made
It made me feel a little bit better about Dallas not picking him up. I can tell you that.
Teddy Bridgewater had an okay game. His wide receivers kind of stepped up. Defense played pretty well. It was cold. It was a very interesting game.
Yeah, definitely.
The Seahawks made the plays that they had to make down the stretch, and then
Can we just cut to the chase? It's not even about that because Seahawks should have lost that game. That was all Minnesota.
no, they definitely should have lost.
Can we get down to the Ace Ventura, laces out, Marino?
It's not hard.
Laces out.
It's not hard.
I don't even want to. You know what? You know what's been irritating about this whole situation is that I keep hearing about, oh, the laces were in or out.
They were in twice, and
exactly.
the first time he made
I don't want to hear it. He hit that shit
down
the middle.
Walsh said that he felt like, it didn't matter if the laces were in or out. He said it didn't matter if it was a watermelon there. Didn't matter if it was a pineapple. Didn't matter what it was. He said he should have put it through the uprights, and he didn't. And I agree with him.
That was a shame.
But at the same time,
he choked.
I agree, but at the same time, dude, you're getting paid. This guy all he has to do is hold the ball in the right direction. He messed up twice.
And
it's bound to happen. If he messes up twice, it's 50-50 shot that he's going to make one of them, 50-50 shot he's going to miss the other one, and it happened. It happened.
Right, but it wasn't even a situation where...
Laces out, and there's a better opportunity and he makes that kick. And that's science, so go with it. I mean,
It might be science, but, I mean, the argument is he made two early. He made the 2 or 3 earlier, and he's the only one to put points up for the damn team. And all of a sudden, when it mattered...
With the laces in, the rest were the laces out.
I thought it was the other way around. No. I thought he made 2 and made 1 with the laces out.
He made 1 with the laces in, missed 1 with the laces in, and made 2 with the laces out.
Regardless, it was a chip shot. It was last year. It was an extra point. You should have made that, bro. You have one job. I don't care. Damn it. I don't care where the laces are facing.
Russell Wilson.
You have one job. Okay, practice with the damn laces going. The whole way around.
That's what I was trying to explain to you. I'm not saying that Blair Walsh shouldn't take all the blame because he didn't. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but at the same time...
Tell me he's not going to be cut.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Russell Wilson had a heck of a fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Doug Baldwin,
he really did.
Crazy second half.
Russell's been doing his thing, and like we've been talking about, don't let Seattle get in the playoffs, and they just so happen to luck into this, and they lucked into this situation where it came down to a kicker shanking it, and now look at them. Now they're in a situation where they have all this momentum moving forward going into Carolina, which we'll get into those picks then when we get to them. But
-3 to start that game that they played in Minnesota, that was insane.
That is insane. You know what's funny? And I have to give a shout out to my man Anthony Collinsworth because early on in the game, because he's a bum. You know why? Because early on in the game he was like, Seattle, they're a team that they're not used to these conditions. I'm sorry. Neither is Minnesota, bro. Have you not understood that 1, they've been in a dome, 2, this is the 3rd coldest game in playoff history in the NFL? Neither team is used to this condition. Like, that's not an excuse. It was cold for everybody. Nobody's used to that.
Russell Wilson played at Wisconsin for his senior year in college.
Anthony.
It's pretty cold up there.
Shout out to Anthony Collinsworth.
It's pretty cold up in Wisconsin.
Now you understand why I can't stand the dude?
I've never been a huge fan of his.
I can't stand him whatsoever.
His kid's really good at Notre Dame, though.
Hopefully one day his kid retires and takes his job because his old man can't talk. I don't have a contract with CBS. We're not going to get a contract with CBS. So, Anthony, fucking hate him, really? Well, Seattle, their team, they're not used to the cold. Because Minnesota is. And then we had, Bob, walking out with his fucking short sleeve shirt. And they asked him, why are you doing this? He was like, well, we're going to show what Minnesota's all about. Well, then that just contradicts what the hell Anthony just said.
Everybody told me to be fooled. And everybody said that Kirk Cousins is the real deal. Kirk Cousins is the man.
Remember when I was kind of half talking about how he's playing all right? And you were like, no. And I was like, yeah, you were right. And then we both kind of chipped on that. A little bit.
He had a great last 7 weeks of the season, but I still thought all season long that he wasn't going to be the guy to lead the Redskins past the first round of the playoffs.
Well, fair enough, but I mean, before the season started, he did.
People truly were on the Kirk Cousins bandwagon. He may get paid.
I wasn't.
I hope the Redskins pay him.
They have to. They're not paying RG3. RG3's gone, so...
He left.
You gotta have a quarterback.
I think he's in Dallas.
If he wants to be a backup, that's cool. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, Washington needs to re-sign Kurt. There's no reason to. You drafted both those quarterbacks. What are you gonna do?
But bigger re-sign, like, you know, bigger guy that they have to take care of before they get to Kirk. Kerry Williams.
I'm done talking to him.
What did I say though? They were gonna sign him. They were gonna lose the game. They lost the game not necessarily because of him. He got a game check for what? For watching them to suit up and
What
watch
was it? $700,000 or something.
$800,000 to suit up and watch his team lose a football game.
That's exactly what he did.
He might never play for them again. He could you imagine if he played one game? He got $800,000 from the Redskins. He got a jersey, a helmet, and some pants for one game. That dude's robbing the league.
$800,000. He's
robbing the league.
He's holding that league hostage. What are we doing with our lives? That he's making that type of money doing nothing?
Was Aaron Rodgers, did he look like the Aaron Rodgers of old, or is Washington's defense that bad right now?
After the first quarter, Aaron Rodgers absolutely looked like the old Aaron Rodgers. Do I think that's going to continue moving forward? Not necessarily. But against a mediocre team in Washington that hasn't beaten the above 500 team or a decent team all year.
Yeah, I agree.
And they just so happen to show up after the first quarter. You know, he's smiling. He's got the whole relaxed thing going on, but it was against Washington, bro.
Washington was a little outman. They were disappointed, but Green Bay walked in there. Rodgers did his thing, got the win.
Yeah.
Moving on, we'll talk about them in Arizona. A yawner, Kansas City playing Houston.
Can I just say how much Houston is a bunch of bums?
Their defense isn't.
No, they're a bunch of bums.
They were on the field so much.
Not even that.
Offense.
I'm not even disrespecting the players. I'm more so disrespecting the coaching staff, if you want to call it disrespecting, because I'm sorry.
I love Bill O'Brien.
Okay, why did you Brandon Whedon? I'm sorry, he was 0-2 when he started. Well, yeah, 0-2. He was 2-0 when he was starting, and at one point they were down after like the first 6 minutes of the third quarter. They should have said, okay, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Brandon Whedon was playing decently, and they got the wins to get into the playoffs. Why would you go with Brian Hoyer? My man ended up with 5 interceptions it was, plus a fumble? At what point do you say, okay, you're not Tom Brady, you're not Peyton Manning, you're not somebody that's you're not an elite quarterback whatsoever. At what point do you pull the plug? They should have pulled that plug midway through the third quarter.
Your argument, though, is...
They act like they didn't care.
Your argument is Brandon Whedon.
Okay, and I understand. And as a Cowboy fan, you should understand how much that
he turns
pisses me off.
Bill O'Brien looks to his left and he was like, "Who's down the bench here? Who can I where He's like,
2-0.
I wonder if EJ Manuel's available. You know what I'm saying? No, yes, it's against the Chiefs. It was 21 it was 24-0. Mid third quarter,
yeah.
So there was no point in bringing him in. Just let Hoyer finish the game out. No, because you pulled the trigger on him.
No, because now
move on. You didn't want to win that. They weren't going to win that game anyways. They didn't even necessarily want to be there. They wanted a better draft pick probably, but
they treated it like it was a regular season game.
I
mean, if I don't know.
I'm with you because you and I are fight to the death and go.
Just at that point, Brian, sit down, man. This isn't your game. Whedon, it's not gonna hurt. Brandon, I'm telling you, bro. I'm a Cowboys fan.
They're already getting beat up though so bad that I'm not disagreeing.
5 interceptions, one fumble.
If you and I were a coaching staff, we would have pulled the trigger. I agree, but
it just seemed like they didn't care, dude. Frankly. I don't even want to talk about Kansas City because I don't believe in them per se, but Houston just showed how much more
quickly
they did belong in that situation.
I want to just correct. Last week we said that we talked about the best job openings. I said the Giants are the best job opening. I want to change that because since that happened, Tampa has become open. Tampa to me is the best job opening because of Jameis. You want to weigh in on Lovie Smith?
Do I?
It's up to you.
What is there to talk about that y'all don't already know?
Won 2 games his first year, got Jameis, got a little better, won 4 games his second year. 6 games his second year, so 4-game improvement with Jameis,
and
which is impressive.
He coached a potential, most
division.
Likely, rookie of the year.
I agree.
His second year in, they cut him.
Offense played really well. Their defense didn't play all that well, and that's what Lovie Smith was there for, but
You know what? There's no logical there's zero reason why they should have gotten rid of Lovie. None. How do you go from 2-14 or whatever it is to 6-10? How do you do that? And cut somebody. I get it. They were last in the division, but look at that spread and look. Jameis is most likely the rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
If next year they bomb, then I understand. Okay, get rid of Lovie. Fine, whatever. But no, you're going with this assistant coach, which he's been there for however long. You could have went with him from the gate. Why didn't you do that? No. Instead, it's a situation where it's like it's the Tony Dungy effect in Tampa Bay. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The brother gets a situation where they get him to a certain level, and then they pull a plug, and now there's a white guy getting all the credit. It's what it is. Should Tampa have gotten rid of Lovie Smith? No, absolutely not. There's no reason for it. It's a catastrophe. It makes no sense. He did decent up when he was in Chicago. Granted, he had a bum in Jay Cutler, and now he went down to Tampa Bay.
I don't think Chicago should have got rid of him at that time.
Last year was a wash for him, and this year he improved by 4 games, and he coached the Rookie of the Year.
He won 10 games with Chicago his last year. I didn't think they should got rid of him.
What are you cutting him for?
No clue. What about Rob Ryan as the assistant head coach of the defense with Rex up in Buffalo?
That's pretty fitting. We got the 2 most overrated, mediocre coaches in the league underneath one another. That's beautiful. And they both have 1-year deals, so when they both bomb next year, they can both get fired.
Or if they both do well, they can sign like 2 or 3 years.
That's not going to happen. Rob Ryan's I like Rex. I like Rex, but he's a tad overrated. Rob is completely overrated, and I don't like him. He had 1 good year in New Orleans, and he's a. Am I boring you?
No, I'm just trying to.
And Rob, he's overrated, dude. Fuck him. His defenses have been at least 27 or above for the past how many years?
Yeah, like 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, and he had 1 decent year in New Orleans, and all of a sudden he's a genius. Of course, fucking Rex is going to hire him, because that's his brother.
Yeah.
Wait till the first disagreement. Rob's going to say, do this, Rex is going to say, nah, do this. And they're going to fight. You're going to see 2 fat brothers fighting each other. Great.
Well, breaking news right before we came on the air, LA is getting 1 team, maybe 2. The Oakland Raiders will not be one of them. St. Louis will definitely be there. And San Diego has the option to go if they would like. I'm sure they will.
At this rate, the way that they treated it.
It's going to be very interesting. So St. Louis Rams will now be the Los Angeles Rams again, and the Chargers might be the Los Angeles Chargers, or do they change their name?
I should probably change their name.
We'll see what happens.
That was raw. It's kind of, so what? It's like a Clippers-Lakers situation where
It's going to be odd, but will anybody care about these teams?
I hate that. At least one of them. I'm sure they have their fans. I mean, I'm sure LA would much rather just have Oakland.
The stadium's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, Oakland. They much rather have the Raiders, but I mean, by default, if you're not going to have the Raiders, you won't get the Rams. I don't think they want to give a shit about the Chargers, honestly. It should be an interesting situation, but absolutely, one of the teams are going, definitely. There's no doubt about it. And if I had to put my money on one, it's going to be St. Louis.
No, St. Louis is already there. It's confirmed.
Well, then what do you need San Diego for?
San Diego has the option to if they would like to. It's up to them.
Well, they're stupid if they don't.
Yeah, they probably will.
Go ahead and do it. I don't like it. I don't like this whole sharing shit, but I mean,
like the Giants and the Jets.
I don't like it. It's so sick to me. I don't like it. Do your own thing. Get away. Get your own stadium, get your own fans, get your own state. Fuck. Hate that shit. And fucking Giants and the Jets, they don't even share the fucking New York. They share fucking New Jersey.
Yeah, they claim the wrong state.
I hate
At
that
least
shit.
these guys will actually be in LA.
This is what I was saying about the Clippers and the Lakers. I hate that. No, separate the 2.
I agree, separate them.
Ugh.
Anyway. Separating them. Anyway, Dwight, last week we both picked all 4 road teams, and we were both right.
Yep.
4-0 in the playoffs. 4 more games up this week. Kicking it off on the Saturday game, Kansas City taking on New England. Andy Reid going to play Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I can't really lose this because I like both sides here, so I'm excited for this game. Who are you taking?
I'm going with New England. There's no reason. I understand Kansas City. They've won 11 in a row. I don't buy into that one that they got last week. That means absolutely nothing to me. As much as New England, they've been hurting, I feel like they're not going to get much farther than this game. I feel like they absolutely should beat Kansas City.
New England stumbled into the playoffs, and Kansas City's coming on an 11-game winning streak. For that reason, I'm taking New England, because New England just... these are the kind of games in the playoffs at home that they're like, yeah, but we're still New England.
Right.
Gronk's going to have a big game, and they can't turn the ball over, because they turned the ball over a decent amount during this couple game stretch where they haven't been playing all that well. This is a good Kansas City team. Don't let them fool you. Still think New England's going to win.
It might be a little drag out until the end, but then I think it's just going to do that thing and pull out in the end.
Yeah. Saturday night, we have a pretty good game. Green Bay, who's got blown out by Arizona just a couple weeks ago in Arizona.
Yep.
Going back to Arizona now. You're really high on Arizona. Their weapons, I think, are better on the outside. I think that Clendix is a pretty good safety, but overall, they're not going to be able to cover. Arizona could spread it out 4 wide. I think they can really take care of business that way. And they have to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers again, because they were absolutely demolishing the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers. I think they can do both things like that again. I think Arizona wins. I don't know if it's as big as it was last time, but I still think they win.
Right. I agree with you. I'm going to Arizona as well. I don't think that it's going to be that big of a difference. I don't think that they're going to win by as much as they did previously, but I think they're going to win fairly convincingly. I don't buy into what happened with Green Bay, where all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers was smiling and he was just laughing at Washington.
I agree.
I don't think it's going to be that whatsoever. I feel like they're going to kind of come back to what they've been for like the past 6-7 weeks, whatever it's been. And Arizona, they're the more complete team, the more whole team, and I'm going with
Arizona.
I'm going with what I've bought into for almost the entire year.
Arizona's also had a week of rest, and while they got beat up in that last game against the Seahawks, it didn't mean as much as the Green Bay game meant that they got beat up in against Minnesota.
Green Bay doesn't have the same status.
Right. So, and they've had to now go through a little more bruising punishment road to get here, where Arizona's been able to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I think Arizona's going to win for that.
Absolutely.
For the reasons. Well, we got a really good one. 1 o'clock.
I'm curious.
On Sunday. I'm really curious about this one. Seattle didn't play their best game, but it was cold, and I said that.
Right.
Late in that game, though, Russell Wilson ended up playing pretty well. You got Cam Newton. You have a really good defense. Went out there, beat Seattle in Seattle this season. Yep. Is this a different Seattle team than that Seattle team?
Yes and no.
Is this a different Carolina team than that Carolina team?
No. This is why I'm going Carolina. Because
still have everything you need to beat a good Seattle team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
What's crazy
and
is,
at home.
I picked Seattle, like I keep saying. I picked Seattle to get to the Super Bowl prior to the season starting. But at this rate, last week when I saw Seattle play Minnesota, I saw Seattle's offensive line not be able to protect Russell whatsoever. He was getting hit all day, every day. I feel like that will only continue absolutely with Carolina's defensive line. I feel like Cam, he's just ready. And if they don't get any farther, I absolutely think that they will win this game. Will I be surprised if they lose? Not necessarily, but I'm going with Carolina because I feel like they should have this momentum to at least get one in the playoffs.
Well, they need to keep Russell in the hash marks in between the pocket. They can't let him go side to side there, because that's when he gets really dangerous, and that's when he does what he does. And they have to be able to cover Baldwin. I think they're going to be able to. They have a pretty good secondary. Their front seven is going to be able to contain. Yeah. And that's what you need to be able to do. Plus, they can run the ball. They can really eat stuff away from Seattle. I'm picking Carolina as well. I think Cam needs to step up, though, have a big game, because these are the moments. These are, you know what I mean? This is the legends are made in the playoffs. And yeah, he wants to be the guy. This is it. This is the time to be the guy.
At least one. If he loses next week, then fine. But at least one. You gotta get
this
one.
Game. You're first seed. You're the number 1 seed. You have to show what this 14, 15 win season was about.
And if they don't get this one, they're gonna get dogged and trashed beyond belief. So I hope for them. I'm hoping for them. I think they're gonna get it, but we're gonna see. Seattle isn't a joke, but
well, we both take Carolina in that one. Pittsburgh going to Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken 3 home teams.
Right.
I'm taking a 4th. I'm going with Denver, whether Ben plays or not. Peyton, he's going to need to be able to throw the ball deep. Not deep, but a little deep. He can't. He needs to be a little healthy, and if he isn't, they got to be able to pull the trigger as fast as him as they did on Osweiler. That's going to be harder to do than they did on Osweiler because they were able to just pull the trigger on Osweiler with no remorse.
Right.
Peyton came in and did what he did. You have to be able to, if Peyton is struggling the way Osweiler was, pull the trigger on him. Steelers' defense isn't all that great. I know we were kind of praising McCarron, but it was because what he was doing towards the end of that game. You need to be able to beat them up, especially because going on the road, again, they've been going through and they've been playing tough, beat-up games. They've been basically playing with holding their breaths for a couple weeks now. So this is, a scenario where you have a chance to catch them, in a pretty weak spot.
Right.
Your defense is good enough, especially if Ben doesn't play. We'll see about Antonio Brown. You got to be able to pull the trigger, as I said, but I think Denver still pulls away with the win. I got all 4 home teams winning this week.
Well, I guess this is our first difference in the playoff because I'm going Pittsburgh.
Oh, here we go. Even if Big Ben doesn't play.
I'm not. I'm thinking he's playing. I don't do this what ifs. I'm going with.
He's got like 9 injuries going on right now.
And he's most likely.
He's a very tough guy, so I'm not just hey. I'm not
he's
saying
most likely
he won't.
gonna play.
I'm not saying he won't.
Just like Antonio Brown, he's most likely going to play.
Yes, I think Antonio Brown will play.
If they're both playing, then absolutely I'm going with them. But even I don't.
D'Angelo Williams will probably play too.
I'm going with Pittsburgh just because I feel like that's even better. Because if you're telling me that all their offensive weapons are there, I'm telling you that despite how good Denver's defense is,
Denver's defense is legit. This is going to be the test. This is going to be.
I feel like Pittsburgh will still put up numbers, but I don't think that Peyton Manning
is supposed to win in the playoffs.
That's great.
So we'll see.
But I don't know if Peyton Manning can put up points to match. Even if it's just, let's say, Pittsburgh.
17.
I was about to say, even if Pittsburgh puts 17, I don't know if Peyton can do that. I root for Peyton. I love Peyton. And I said put Peyton in over Osweiler. I'm okay with that. But if you're asking me to go with a fully stacked Denver team or a fully stacked Pittsburgh team, I'm going Pittsburgh just because I feel like they've gotten hot in the right moment. They shouldn't have won last week, but we already got into that. But
I hope
they're in it, and they're good enough to do it.
Really close to fully stacked because this could be a heavyweight fight.
Could be a great game.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like Big Ben's going to play. They're saying, he's hurt, he's not hurt.
He has like 100 injuries, man. I feel so bad for the guy, but he's tough. He's a tough dude.
He's like Tony Romo. He's just going to go out there.
As long as he has some kind of gas in him, he'll roll.
He's a grown-ass man. He's going to be out there, and I feel like this is, like you said, it's going to be a heavyweight matchup, and this is the one road team that I'm going with this week.
Oh, we will see. All right, well, for Dwight Garfield, I'm Jared Hood. This was JD Sports. Thank you for watching.
Peace out, people.